Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 9. Well, as the title says, this was inevitable. We will encounter a situation that was bound to happen sooner or later, and to be honest, I'm kind of astonished that we managed to get away with it for so long. Of course, I'm talking about a potential death spiral. In a game so complex and with so many interacting parts, it is really easy to forget something minor, only for that small oversight to snowball into an avalanche. Okay, that's a bit overly dramatic, but I failed to think ahead, and did not consider that we might want to upgrade the oil rig before the local deposit runs out. The default output of the rig is not enough to keep us floating, so it will be a bit of a scramble when the issues start to appear. And it will happen in the worst possible moment, right when I was in the middle of rearranging the power stations. So it will be a bit of a double-sided issue we need to take care of. I was really tempted to just re-record the episode, and deal with the issues before they would come up, but I thought better of it. Let this be a learning experience for everyone. Let's try to take care of the steel bus line first. We need that to be operational, so we can continue making the Tier 3 construction parts. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything more than setting it to high priority. It's all up to the trucks at this point. And done. Now that the steel is flowing freely, the rest of the belt should be taken care of in short order. Nice, we just unlocked fertilizers. I suppose we should get on that pretty soon, but there are other things that need our attention. Well, it seems the sulfur and ammonia storages are full. Let's upgrade them, so we have more to work with once we are ready. And given that the sour water processing is in full swing, I think we can safely hook that stuff up to the rubber makers. If we start using that instead of coal, we will not only make more, but we will also eliminate the wastewater output, making the whole process a lot cleaner. And sulfur is on its way to replace the coal. That should take care of the rubber production for quite a while. And we might as well empty out the coal storage, and switch it over to sulfur. To speed up the switchover, we can also tell our trucks to empty out the belts, so we can stop using coal, and start feeding in the sulfur. Now, I believe we have a new lab equipment recipe to deal with. As I've said in the last episode, it used to require liquid nitrogen canisters, but it was changed into paper. Makes sense, I suppose. And the recipe looks pretty straightforward. Just need some sawdust, limestone, and a tiny bit of steam. Easy. So the process happens in a chemical plant. We haven't built one in this playthrough, so this is a first. Let's just find a place where we can do the planning in peace, and then we can move the finished setup to its final position. Let's do the steam first. It requires very little, only about 1.5 units per minute. So even the output of a single rain harvester will be enough to deal with the demand. As for the wood chips, that one comes from the new shredder building. We just need to give it the lumber it requires, and it will output the required stuff. Oh, right. It also needs limestone. That one will have to be brought in by trucks. The boiler of course will need some kind of a fuel source, and as usual, it will be coal. I tried to decide what kind of water source we should use, but once I saw how little steam we need, The answer was obviously a rain harvester. Now, where should we put this? Ideally, it should be somewhere close to the factories. This one will do, I suppose. Oh, right. We should also include a small output warehouse, so we can store some extra paper, just in case. We only need the limestone at this point. I'll just leave it to do its business, and see what we can do elsewhere. And as it turns out, we managed to get rid of the last drop of oil a bit faster than I expected. I thought we would be coasting on it for maybe one more episode, but it's already tapped out. At this point, I see no point in keeping this facility around. We might as well teleport all the stuff into the shipyard, no reason to keep anything here. In the meantime, the flagship was repaired, so we can send it out on further adventures. I am a bit sad to see such slow progress on the coal mine's ground level digging. Later, I will take a slightly more drastic measure to get it going, but not right now. Nice, we found another settlement. I didn't check what it has on offer, but I suspect it will be the first one that does contracts exclusively. Those are a kind of permanent trade route, instead of the intermittent exchanges we've been doing until now. And it seems we managed to reach the capacity of our garbage incinerators. The town now generates more than they can accept. Building another will fix this problem quite easily. And just to deal with the backlog faster, we can give the burners a temporary unity boost. And it seems the tree harvester finished deforesting the previous designations. We can move on to the next area. That should keep it busy for a while. The Tier 2 vehicles need steel to be made, so we could hook that line into one of the inputs. Okay, I think we can extend the mining designations on the outer rim a little bit. It should be safe to do so right over the resource indicators. I won't go beyond that, but this should be acceptable. Yeah, I did place some of the designations at incorrect elevations, but I will catch them before they become an issue. What I did try to do to encourage the excavators to work on the important stuff was to rearrange the designations in the pit. I still wanted to keep the coal going, so I left them a small single tile strip to work with. That should allow one of them to work down there, and the rest of them will move up, and work on the rim. They should still mine enough coal up there to keep the island going. Okay, this is starting to become an issue. We tell trucks to get upgraded, but they need to drive all the way to the assembly plant to be decommissioned, and only then will their replacement be allowed to leave. This takes way longer than I would like, so I decided to just build a bunch of Tier 2 trucks, and then retire the old ones manually. Nice, the paper setup is working as intended. The only thing missing from the factory now is the steel. Time to hook it up to the bus. And I am a bit concerned about the speed of the steel mill. It is struggling to keep the bus fully saturated, so I decided to give it a unity boost, at least until it manages to catch up to the belts. Well, this was bound to happen sooner or later. We dug up so much sand that we cannot get rid of it quickly enough. We need a fourth set of storages to deal with it. And I also upgraded the dirt drop-offs, so we have a bigger buffer to deal with it. Okay, that should take care of the sand for now. Since we stopped mining it at the original site, this should be the only place for the concrete plant to get the stuff. And I finally noticed the wrong mining designations. Time to fix the error. We can already see the outlines of the coal deposit. I suppose we could get started on the retaining walls, but I would feel better if we saw the full picture first. Now that the lab equipment production is sorted, I suppose we could upgrade the labs themselves. And you know what? We can also belt the Tier 1 stuff into the Tier 2 factories. And as luck would have it, the output of the Tier 1 factory is the exact number we need for the Tier 2 inputs. It's almost like it was meant to be. It seems we managed to finish the previous tier of research. We got the next level sorted just in time. So, let's start setting up some kind of a queue. The first one we need is obviously the next level of power generation, which will unlock the low pressure turbines. The next one we need are the large storages. Those take 4 times as much space as the small ones, but offer a lot more effective storage space. Then there was the thermal desalination, and of course, the very important advanced smelting tech. Also, let's not forget about the hospital too, and those new thermal storages. I only saw them mentioned in one of the dev blogs, so can't wait to try them out. This terraforming project is going rather nicely. I suspect it will come in very handy when it comes to setting up those thermal desalinators. Well, we still need to put the copper onto the main bus. At this time, we only really need it to make electronics, so it won't be going to many places just yet, but it won't hurt to have it at hand. It still isn't time to move these furnaces, so we will just go around them for now. We still need to unlock the advanced smelting. As I've said, we only need this for the electronics at the moment, but in big enough quantities to justify building this enormous line. But let's not forget about the maintenance. Same as we did with the iron plates, we will need to set up a small balancer, so we can prioritize the belts going toward the critical infrastructure. Damn, the iron belt is interfering with the ramp. We will need to move the balancer back a little bit. And that about does it for the copper bus line. One less thing to worry about. And just in case, let's add a ramp going over the belts. Good thing we have multiple sizes. The middle-sized one has 2 of these channels below it, so it's perfect. At this point, we have 14 Tier 2 trucks running around, and they did a great job at managing the delivery backlog. I suppose we could get started on removing some of the older ones, but I'll let them run around a bit. We can do that in the next episode. And it seems we had 2 Tier 1 trucks left in the iron mine. And these are the first signs of trouble. The fuel station is out of gas. The Stage 2 refinery buildings had extra diesel in them, which meant that the pipes going to the tank were not wide enough to cope. So they had to be upgraded. But that was only a very small contributor to the bigger issue, which is the lack of oil coming in. The oil rig on the map can be upgraded to increase the output, and we will absolutely need to do just that. At this point, I thought I fixed the problem, but it's only a matter of time before things get worse. Yeah. The diesel production isn't really improving. And when I looked at the ship, the cause became immediately obvious. It was completely empty, and it was waiting for the oil rig to have enough to justify going out. We need to upgrade it ASAP. Good thing we had enough Tier 2 construction parts to deal with it. And with the extra trucks running around, the ship should be ready to sail out fairly quickly. And while all that was going on, we managed to unlock the next level of power generation, which unlocked the low pressure turbines. This is where I will fall victim to the pre-update biases. In the old system, we could feed 2 high pressure turbines into a single low pressure one for a perfectly balanced setup, but now it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and we need 2 of them to deal with the amount of steam coming in from the previous links in the chain. And as it turns out, the length of the second turbine is 1 tile longer than I thought it would be. So we need to do some drastic rebuilding at this end of the setups. Yeah, at this point, I was still oblivious to the revamped low-pressure turbine mechanics. I was still going by the assumption that it's still using the old input-output ratios. Before the big update, this would have been the end of it. But I will discover the error once the high-pressure turbines start complaining about their inability to output their used-up steam. I was so confident that my job was done, that I even copied the setup over to the second power plant. Okay, the flagship is loaded, time to upgrade that oil rig, and end this nightmare. And the turbines are starting to complain. Soon the error will be revealed. Now that the oil rig has double the output, we can only hope that the crisis is averted. And technically it is, but it will take a long time for the diesel backlog to clear up. And I finally got around to checking the turbines. Yeah. The low pressure ones can no longer use 48 units of low pressure steam, so we need to do some extra restructuring. It will have to wait for a second though, I just wanted to check the cargo ship to make sure it can unload the oil fast enough. Sadly, the unloading facilities are without power. We cannot delay, we need to take care of it right now. Well, these 2 generators are superfluous. The low-pressure turbines can only output 3 megawatts of mechanical power, so the 2 existing generators are enough to use their outputs. I will realize this a bit later, but only after they are built, so it will be a bit of a waste of resources. And we ran out of Tier 3 construction parts. Couldn't have happened at a worse time. I was in a bit of a panic mode at this point, and didn't consider using Unity to double the speed of that single tower yet. It will take me a little bit to remember that option, which will magically fix the whole power issue. Right now, I was hunting for pipes that might be slowing things down. The diesel output was the first, but there are more. I am relieved to see a full coal storage. The excavators are out of fuel, so if we also ran out of coal, that would be pretty much game over. While diagnosing the refinery buildings, we could look at the resources. We can easily identify which ones are struggling, but simply checking which ones aren't full by the time the previous production cycle finishes. In this case, the throughput of the medium oil isn't fast enough, so those pipes need to be upgraded. And suddenly, the Stage 2 buildings are running continuously. Perfect. We are in a bit of a bind. We need to build the cooling towers to keep the power plants running, but the factories that would make the materials are out of power. And the penny drops in 3, 2, 1. Unity boost. We can just boost the throughput of the only cooling tower that we managed to build, pretty much solving the entire problem. By clearing out the clogged up steam pipes, at least one of the power plants is now fully operational, which is all we needed to solve the bigger problems. At this point, it's only a matter of time before the rest of them are built, and we also have the necessary power to deal with the fuel troubles. And I finally realized that the 2 generators at the end are unnecessary. Yeah. We should be good from now on. It will take some time to truly fix all the backlog, but we're on track. And to be extra sure, we should consider upgrading the oil rig one more time, but that will require a huge amount of Tier 3 construction parts, so that we'll have to wait. Well, it seems the steel production managed to catch up to the belt, so I think we can take off the Unity boost. If we need more, we can just apply it again, but hopefully, the advanced smelting technology will be unlocked soon, and then we can move the whole setup to a more permanent location. Anyways, the large storages are now unlocked. As a first step, we can rebuild the crude oil tanks at the refinery. But before we do that, how about we deal with the pipes once and for all? Instead of hunting down individual inefficiencies, we can just upgrade everything, and that will take care of it all. Okay. I didn't want to disrupt the diesel production too much, so I only did half of the tanks for now, and we can do the other 2 later. Look at the size of these things. They take up 4 times as much space as the small ones, but can store a lot more than 4 small ones could together. Now that the factories are running again, it shouldn't take too long to build these guys. And the power plants are back to normal. We can take off that unity boost, it's no longer necessary. We can also re-enable the auto balance mode on half of the high pressure turbines. They only need to run if the flywheels are spinning down. And we managed to dig quite a bit of the outer rim at the coal mine. If we keep this up, we should get it done relatively quickly. Well, that was a bit of a hectic ending, but I think we did alright, considering the severity of the situation. I suspect quite strongly that we will see some small secondary outages in the fuel supply in the early parts of the next episode, but that's all we need to worry about at this point. Plus, we are about to decommission a lot of Tier 1 trucks, which will lower the island-wide fuel consumption quite a bit, which should help matters even more. What I really want to do next is fertilizers. We have everything we need, ammonia, sulfur, all the prerequisites. That will increase the farming output quite a bit, which should ensure the survival of the colonists. Plus, I really want to provide a steady supply of water as well, but for that, we will need the thermal desalinators, which are always a real joy to set up. Especially now, since we can use vertical pipes, which will make it not just easier, but I suspect, nicer to look at. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then leaving a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. If you are more in the donating mood, you can find a link to my Ko-fi page in the description, where you can buy me a glass of water. I don't really drink coffee. Thank you for your support, and until next time, I will see you later.